So both of you have just sort of touched on kind of establishing a culture, if you will,
absolutely.
within the organization. But pragmatically, how do you go about doing that? There's a lot of, so you've described the goal. This is what you want. What do you, to all the panels, what do you do to actually, foster that culture and that, within an organization? What are some of the practical steps you can take to ensure that's the case within your organization?
Well, I think as stated, if you don't have intellectual integrity and honesty from day one throughout the team, it fails. The process will fail. The process of starting up companies in Silicon Valley has historically been one of all the constituents telling white lies to each other. Right? You start telling white lies to each other the minute you put your business plan together. And then you start telling white lies to your board, and your board starts telling white lies to itself about what the outcome should be. And then until there's a near-death experience, nobody gropes with those things. That's been the history of the way in which conventional startups have happened in the Valley for the longest time. It's amazing we don't have a higher mortality rate than we do. The culture of intellectual honesty starts from day one with the idea of admitting what you don't know. Because once you can admit what you don't know, you can now ask the right questions. This process, whether it's one of looking for those little wins every day that sort of move the process on the 20-mile march, or whether they're leaping to outcomes, is contextual. It really depends upon what your business is, what your challenges are, and that comes down to a very simple process of knowing that you're asking the right questions. Everybody focuses on the answers. I actually think that's the wrong way to run an innovation process. The answers are unknown, and they will change. If you're asking good questions, you will be prepared to come up with the right answer in any situation. If you're leaping to answers and trying to find safe haven in answers, they will fail you many times. And so I think a process of understanding what you don't know, being intellectually honest about that, not punishing failure on a personal level. That's not to say everybody wins a prize and goes home. We're dealing with a culture like that right now as we see these sort of young entrepreneurs come in. They've all been sort of groomed with this notion that everybody's a winner. Well, not everybody is a winner. And we need to be very clear with ourselves when we are succeeding and when we are failing. That doesn't mean as people we are succeeding or failing. That means our ideas may be succeeding or failing. It means that the market context in which we're operating in may be creating an environment in which we cannot succeed. I think the corollary to this process of innovation and discovery and asking questions is that by and large the mythology of success in the Valley is one of the brilliant entrepreneur who gets it right. And that mythology does us all a disservice. Because what we find with the best companies in the Valley, by and large, is they've had to change their business not just once, but many, many times to get to the right answer. And so changing the mythology to talk more about reinvention, constant discovery, constant innovation, I think serves us much better as an innovation culture.